This video is for the 80% of guys who get nothing on Tinder. And I'm going to start with the story of the Chinese farmer. And this is for a very good reason. All right, so there was a farmer and he had a horse. And one day the horse ran away. And his neighbors said, "Oh, that's terrible. Your horse ran away." And he said, "Maybe." And the next day, the horse came back and brought 7 wild horses with it. The neighbors came out jubilant and said, "Wow, isn't that great?" And he said, "Well, maybe." And the next day, his son was trying to tame one of the horses, and the horse kicked him and broke his leg. Neighbors again, "Oh my gosh, it's terrible." He said, "Well, maybe." Next day, the army came to take his son to conscript him in the war. And they couldn't take him because he had a broken leg. The neighbors came out and said, "Aren't you so lucky? That's fantastic." And he said, "Maybe." And the moral of this story really is very simple, is that we don't know the end result of something. Like, we don't know the final result, the complicated series of reactions that we have to life and strength that we get and motivation that we get and the final outcome and what we want. It's very difficult to predict. Many times bad things happen and it turns good. And it's because we have a realization, right? We realize we're drinking too much, right? And so we quit drinking forever. Things like that. So many things like that in life. And at the time, though, it's not easy, right? So for you guys you get nothing on Tinder, I really think there's not any videos for you out there. So I want this one's for you. The first thing I want to say is that not being wanted by women is very difficult. Okay, I don't want to gloss over that, especially for a man. We are proud. It is extremely difficult, and it's extremely unfair. There's any way you could measure it. A woman who's very unattractive, a 3, gets way more sex than an 8, a guy, and that it rubs us the wrong way. Humans like fairness, we do. Even monkeys, like when they give them, I don't know if you guys heard this story, but this is a true story. They gave monkeys grapes, and they gave two grapes to one monkey, and one to the other, 2 to the other, 1 to the other. And the monkey with the one would throw it on the ground. He wouldn't eat it, even though they love grapes, because it wasn't fair. He's like, the other guy got 2. Fuck that. He threw it on the ground. And it's pretty funny. You would think that animals would not be like this, but we have this innate sense that the smarter animals get, the more we have this sense of that's not fair, right? So I understand that. That's a very real thing, especially for humans, because we're extremely intelligent, and that kind of thing it bothers us more because of the frontal lobe, right, of our brains, right, the emotional. But is it bad? I'm going to argue here that it is not bad at all. Okay. One thing about women, everybody knows, women are very good at hiding their emotions, or their, not emotions, sorry, motivations, or not being straightforward. Men had their bodies in the past, as far as evolutionary wise, men had stronger bodies and could kind of get what they wanted physically, but women had to do it emotionally, had to do it with other means. They didn't have the physical means, right? And those means developed. Okay, evolution is an amazing thing, and those things develop, and they are stronger in women, right? So men don't usually get an insight into the female mind until the internet. The internet has been a godsend for understanding females. It really has been. If you listen, you are being given information that no men in history ever had. And what do I mean by that? It's because women on the internet, anonymously, will be honest because they don't feel like it affects their reputation. And so you get data that you would never get. And here's the thing. The sad truth is that 80% of men, maybe 85, maybe 90, were never attractive to women. Ever. It was all a lie. Men have been lied to since the beginning of time. And when a woman is not physically attracted to you, it's basically all a sham. Okay? And the result of that, what that means is that she'll cheat if she has a chance. She's not physically, she doesn't get the tingles for you. Now, most content creators, most people will think that's, they'll go off on, obviously it's not fair, it's very difficult, blah, blah, blah. And essentially, if you listen very carefully, after this video, start listening to other videos, and you will hear they don't accept reality because it's too scary, it's too dark. They don't want to see the truth. Now, the truth is right there. 85% of guys not attractive to women. And never will be. It will never change because attraction is such a deep, it comes from the root, okay? It comes from deep inside. And it's not logical. It's something that's innate, okay? It's something that doesn't change with logic or even money. This is what guys don't understand. Here's what I really want you to know is, well, for example, let's look at this. So a lot of guys, there's one content creator in particular I'm thinking about, is he's definitely unattractive to women, right? But his content is becoming very, very popular, right? Now, what I see him doing, and I've seen this millions of times, and this was the same in the pickup community, is that now he's feeling his social status go up, right? And he is trying to become, even though he probably doesn't realize it, the guy that he always hated. So the guy who got the women, the guy who was on top. So even though he's, in a sense, commiserating with the bottom, he is secretly trying to become the top. Okay? And so a lot of guys who are telling you this stuff actually don't really believe it. But here's the truth. He's unattractive to women, and he always will be. So even if a guy like that becomes very wealthy and very successful, it's complicated, okay? He will get a girl, okay, that he would have never got. So he will get a girl. So on the outside, he can create like those Western towns in the movies. He can create a whole town you can see. So there's a horse, and there's a building, there's a church, there's a saloon, but actually it's just a cardboard or plywood thing, and it's a 1/4 inch thick, right? And behind that, there's nothing. So a man can create on the surface a life where he is wanted by a woman and everything is fine. But in the end, it's all a fraud. It's not possible. It can only really be created if the woman wants it. So if there is desire from inside her, okay, it comes from her. So the thing is this. The smart man, here's the thing. And also, I want to say this too. Very important, is that because you're not wanted by women, and you never will be, you probably think, well, this is just terrible. This is the end. This is it. I want you to think of the Chinese farmer. Okay? And realize, that if you're not wanted, by women, it really, in many ways, it really is no big deal, because you'll still be alive. Okay, you're still alive, and you'll still have tons of friends. You can still have a nice house. You can still have a great intellectual life, and females that are nice to you. There are always coworkers and friends and neighbors and parents, and there's so much besides a romantic connection. There's so much in life. Like, just because that you're not wanted as a mate, okay? There's most of human, like love and affection and connection is not romantic. It's you have a dog, you have a friend, you have a sister, you have you know what I mean? You have an aunt. There's so much. You maybe mentor somebody, you help somebody. There's so many connections, and there's so much of life that is in that same realm, but it's not romantic, right? And don't put too much emphasis on that romantic part. And it's the same thing. Here's the thing. It's so, in other words, you are incredibly valuable as a human being, even if you are not wanted in the romantic way. Okay, that's my message. And it's the same. I say the same for women. In a sense of this, a woman will, let's say, attractive woman, say, sleep with a ton of guys when she's young. And then as she gets, let's say, 35, she will want to get married, right? Now, that's impossible. Why is it impossible? It's impossible because it's impossible to have a real relationship, because guys don't like that. So guys don't like a woman who slept with a bunch of guys. So she has only two choices, right? One choice, she can lie to the guy about something that she knows is the most important thing to him, or one of the very top, right? Now, what's the basis of relationship? The basis of relationship, especially a close relationship, is trust. And especially in the most important things, right? So she can have a sham of a relationship and trick a guy. And then because of that, never have that deep connection, because it's all based on a lie that could come out at any time. Or she can stay single. Now, if she stays single, she's still a valuable person. She still has friends. She mountain climbs. She can buy a house. She can travel the world. She can enjoy art. She can do so many things. She can have tons of guy friends, but she will never be wanted by the type of guy that she wants if she's honest. And if she's not honest, the relationship is not real. So she's backed herself into a corner, because when she had the opportunity, she did something that forever ruined the possibility of a real marriage. And that's very sad. It's just very similar to something like an athlete, like a professional athlete who, is just getting out of college, is high in the draft, and then just does something crazy and then just loses interest of the professional community. And it's like, no, that guy's out. And it happens all the time. And it's only a couple of years, and that's it. He's out. If he doesn't get drafted, if he doesn't join a team, it doesn't matter how good he is. Once he's like 26, no one's gonna draft the guy, who has been an accountant, and maybe he had some talent back. There's a window of opportunity for certain things. And for women, as far as having that real marriage and connection, it can be ruined by actions. And this is one of the things I really fault modern society for, is not teaching women this, because it's irreversible. It's impossible. But as I always say, that doesn't mean she's not a valuable person, and you could be friends with her. She could be a great person. Really, she could be a great friend, person, coworker, business, whatever. Soldier, whatever she wants to. That is totally fine, but she will never have a real marriage and that romantic connection. And a lot of people really want that, right? But that doesn't mean, right? So same with you, is just because, well, in a way, you're the luckiest guy because you're seeing what no man has ever seen before. That data, that 85% should tell you the truth about, you should never forget that, okay? Women do not want you, and they never will at that deep level. Now, when you know that can truly set you free, because don't spend your life fighting against it, trying to build yourself up so that you can become this other person. Now, obviously it's complicated because I spend my life improving myself, but I don't do it for that reason. See, I do it purely because it's what I want to do. It's purely because I want to do something that improves myself, and I'm going to do that. And that consequentially does make me a little bit more attractive to women. So it's a balance, right? But when a woman tells you something, when you find out the truth, never assume, this is what the dumb guys always assume, is that I'm going to force it, I'm going to change it. It will not change. She will not change. Women have spoken. Women have spoken. And just realize the farmer's story, the truth of that story, is you never know whether it's good or bad. You really don't know, because there's so much in life. There's so much you haven't lived yet, that you haven't seen yet. That there's so many perspectives that you still are stuck in one perspective and you can't see the beauty of your life. And there's no way I could have known the beauty of my life when I was young. There's no way. I could never have known the things that I would experience in my life and learn. And I mean that even in the last 2 years, some very amazing lessons in my life that really broadened and deepened my basic persona, my understanding of the world, my acceptance of myself, my love for myself, and for life itself. And a lot of things have happened in these last 2 years. So don't assume that you know everything. And that's what a lot of guys do. They assume that this is, very bad information, that is very sad. It's going to be very difficult. It's very unfair. Don't assume that. Because you don't know yet. Thanks for listening, guys.